And I'm here to tell you Caitlin Clark's agent looked like she might have betrayed her bra. Caitlin Clark's agent just dropped a bombshell that's got the basketball world buzzing when asked about the WNBA's growth. She completely ignored Clark. It's like forgetting to mention Michael Jordan when discussing the Bulls dynasty, but here's where it gets really interesting. The agent might be onto something we're all missing. Is there more to this story than meets the eye? What could be so significant that it overshadows the biggest name in women's college basketball? Let's break down what's really going on. That's right, Caitlin Clark's agent dropped a bombshell that's got the basketball world in an uproar. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that makes you question everything you thought you knew about loyalty in sports. So here's the deal. Clark's agent was asked about why the WNBA is suddenly blowing up. You'd think this would be the perfect moment to sing Caitlin's praises, right? But nope, that's not what happened at all. Listen to this. What do you think is driving the momentum? Right now, you have almost 30 years now of kind of building infrastructure, continued investment over time by the NBA and others. And then you had last year where you had Caitlin Clark. We had glowing embers from Sabrina and all the players that came before. Instead, she starts talking about everything but Clark. Can you believe it? She goes on about 30 years of continued investment and amazing quality of play. She even drops names like Sabrina Ionescu and talks about other athletes who've contributed to women's sports. It's like she completely forgot who she's representing. We're talking about Caitlin Clark here, the player who's been setting records left and right and bringing in millions of new fans. It came before Enrique and those two buzzer beaters she hit in 2018. Sedona Prince talking about, being able to use, or the disparity between the men's and the women's Final Four. And then obviously women finally being able to use the marks and March Madness itself. And then you had Caitlin come through, and she was just like gasoline. Now here's where it gets really wild. The agent finally mentions Clark, but get this. She describes her as gasoline on those embers that were already sort of in place. Gasoline on embers? Are you kidding me? Clark's not just adding fuel to the fire. She's the whole inferno, and so it has just exploded. The rivalries are incredible. I hope you liked the gas video. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. The basketball itself is a ton of fun to watch. It's an awesome, but wait, there's more. The agent says if she was to say Caitlin Clark is the only reason for the growth, that would be ignoring Simone Biles and all the other athletes who have contributed to women's sports. Now on the surface, that might sound reasonable, but let's be real here. We're talking about the WNBA's current growth, not the entire history of women's sports. Basketball, you have the WNBA that's approaching 30 years old, so 30 years of continued investment and honestly amazing quality of play. Like none of this would exist without the talent and the hard work of the players and their persistence and perseverance over many, many years. You might be wondering if there's some strategy behind this madness. Is the agent trying to play nice with the league? Is she worried about putting too much pressure on Clark? Whatever the reason, fans are not having it. And can you blame them? Let's not forget what Caitlin Clark has done for the WNBA. We're talking about a player who's changed the game single-handedly. Her impact is historic. The numbers don't lie. Clark's responsible for a massive chunk of the economic impact last season. We're talking millions of dollars and a surge in viewership that the league has never seen before, but apparently that's not enough for her agent to give her the credit she deserves. Instead, we get this bizarre global perspective about how the explosion in women's sports has been happening worldwide for years. Come on, we're not discussing the entire history of women's sports here. We're talking about the WNBA's recent surge, and Clark is at the center of it all. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, well, maybe the agent has a point. We shouldn't ignore other players' contributions. And you know what? That's fair. The WNBA has had amazing talent for years, but let's be real, the league wasn't seeing this kind of explosive growth before Clark came along. She's not just continuing a trend, she's supercharging it. Alright, let's talk numbers, because the stats behind Clark's impact will blow your mind. You ready for this? Did you get that Clark is responsible for almost 20% of the WNBA's economic activity last season? That's one player, guys. Her impact on Indianapolis alone is $36 million. Can you even wrap your head around that? To put it in perspective, that's more than some entire WNBA teams bring in. We're talking about a rookie here, not LeBron or Steph Curry. One player. Now you might be thinking, okay, but what about merchandise sales, TV ratings, all that stuff? Well, guess what? Clark's crushing it there too. She's not just moving the needle, she's breaking the dang machine. Her jersey sales, her social media, following the TV ratings. When she plays, it's all off the charts. Clark isn't just a player, she's a one-woman economic powerhouse changing the entire landscape of women's basketball. But here's where things get really interesting. The WNBA is experiencing a record year, and it's not just because of Clark. There's a broader economic growth trend within the league driven by players like her, but let's be real, Clark's impact is on a whole other level. Think about it. When was the last time you heard of a single player bringing in more revenue than some entire teams? That's the kind of impact we're talking about here. And it's not just about numbers on a spreadsheet. Clark's impact is felt in the streets of Indianapolis. Local businesses are buzzing, fans are flocking to games, and there's a new energy in the city. It's like Clark's success is the city's success, and everyone's along for the ride. What's your reaction to hearing that? I'm not surprised to hear that. Her impact is undeniable, and I feel like we see that every day globally, the level of interest and kind of growth. And it's really amazing and it's really special. It's been phenomenal for the entire league, and I think that's the most important thing. But here's the kicker. And this is where things get a little crazy. Despite all this impact, despite being responsible for millions upon millions of dollars in revenue, Clark's agent acknowledged that she may never be compensated by the WNBA at the level she's truly worth. She even said things like, "This happen every day." Can you believe that we're talking about a player who's single-handedly boosting the league's economy, and there's a chance she might not see the kind of payday that matches her impact? By the way, let's be real, women's sports. So that includes like tennis, it includes like Simone Biles, what she did at the Olympics. It includes everything. Like, it is not. This is where the whole controversy with Clark's agent starts to make a little more sense. Maybe, just maybe, by not focusing solely on Clark, the agent is trying to make a bigger point. She's highlighting that while Clark is undoubtedly a superstar, there's a larger issue at play here: the ongoing challenges in player remuneration in the WNBA. But the story is from over. So the explosion in women's sports, this is not just a 2024 thing, but in basketball in America. Maybe you can argue it's been a 2024 thing, so like it starts long before Title IX, because of all sports like tennis, gymnastics, like those type of things, like those type of sports, people are like, oh, it started with Title IX, it started long before that because there were sports that were successful. What if I told you Clark's agent might be playing 4D chess while we're all stuck on checkers? Buckle up, because we're about to dive into a strategy so slick it's like watching a perfectly executed play unfold. Think about it. By not putting all the spotlight on Clark, the agent is actually protecting her. If she had said, yeah, it's all because of Caitlyn, imagine the tension that could create in the league. It's like intentionally drawing a double team. It might trap you, but it opens up opportunities elsewhere. By mentioning other stars and the league's history, Clark's agent is playing a smarter game. She's keeping the peace and showing respect to the veterans. It's like a perfectly timed assist, making everyone feel involved while still setting up the star player for success. Remember how the agent talked about 30 years of talent and investment? This might be the smartest part of the strategy. By framing it this way, she's setting Clark up for even bigger deals in the future. She said exactly what she needed to say. And it's like she's literally an agent for fee. We need to take the scenic route to get there, don't, and it would devalue other clients. Like, yeah, the only thing she could have done that was less scenic would say the WNBA was dead before Caitlyn. And yeah, if it's just about one player, there's only so much growth potential. But if it's about the whole league growing with Clark leading the charge, that's a whole different ballgame. Suddenly, Clark isn't just a solo star. She's the face of a rising tide that's lifting all boats. And guess who's going to benefit the most from that? You got it, Caitlyn Clark. This strategy could open up massive opportunities for Clark. We're talking bigger endorsements, more media deals, and maybe even partnerships beyond basketball. And let's not forget about the other players in the league. While this strategy might help smooth things over in the long run, there could be some short-term friction. If she was to say Caitlyn Clark is the only reason for the growth of women's sports, and I just named tennis players off the top of my head, no, it was like the WNBA was going. A little bit of growth, still losing money, but a little bit of growth, boom. So what's the final score on this move? Only time will tell if Clark's agent just pulled off the strategic play of the century, or if this will go down as a costly turnover in Clark's career. One thing's for sure, we're all watching this game unfold with bated breath. So there you have it, folks. The Caitlyn Clark agent controversy is a real head-scratcher. Was it a brilliant move or a big mistake? Clark's impact on the WNBA is undeniable, but experts say balancing individual stars and the whole league is tricky. It's about more than just Clark, it's decades of women pushing boundaries in sports. Here's where it gets interesting. Did Clark's agent make the right call or miss a huge opportunity? Clark's bringing in millions, but ignoring other amazing athletes could backfire. What do you think? Was this a smart play for Clark's future or a misstep that could cost her? Share your passionate take in the comments. I'm dying to hear your opinion on this. Thanks for watching and subscribe my channel.